arrived in Joburg, I was struck at how complex and industrious the city was. It reminded me of the last town I lived in, Houston, Texas. A place of industry, a place of trade. It was nice to be in a big city again, and yet it was just like the one that I was coming from. I was truly able to understand exactly just how close South Africa is to what we already know in the United States.
Going to the Apartheid Museum was really obviously a moving experience, but it was also a real education for me. You grow up here in the United States and you know about your own country's history and your own country's struggles, and you learn about those year after year, but we're just not really taught so much about the rest of the world, and certainly not given faces behind those stories. So the Apartheid Museum was really a few hours of education for me, and I really tried to read every word I could and learn as much as I could. But also you can't help but be captivated by the images that you see there. Just the faces of people your own age staring right back at you, and knowing what they went through, and looking at the hope now that they bring their own country, and the reconciliation that's in progress. It's an amazing museum, and it's I think a lesson in reconciliation that we all need to learn, that we all need to study. Cape Town is absolutely breathtaking. Again, I didn't really know what to anticipate. I could locate it on a map, and so I knew it was coastal, but beyond that, I didn't know what to anticipate. And we arrived there, and all I could think was that I was in San Francisco, only 8,000 miles away. It's beautiful, though, from the way that it sits and kind of revolves around Table Mountain. And the roads are also hilly, and there's a fog that just sits and seems to never move until you get that one great clear day. And the beach is beautiful. I can remember just walking around the rocks, and I could see a seal out on a rock. And I'd never seen anything like that before. And then the prison off the coast, it all just felt like San Francisco. I kept calling my parents and saying, "You have to visit here, you have to visit here." So it was an amazing place. I felt like the first time that we really got to be tourists for a couple of days and really take advantage of those things. But beyond that, we just met some incredible people who've called Cape Town home for forever and ever, and we're full of stories and history that, beyond the beauty of the place, really made it come alive for us.
Robben Island was just beautiful, and to have such pain and such misery associated with that place was really kind of weird, very odd, until our tour guide took us through the prison, and he was one of the people who used to live there during the apartheid era, and he shared with us his stories about how he was abused, and people he knew, and how the Red Cross today got their education in the bathrooms on Robben Island, because the educated, degreed people would take them into the bathrooms. I guess that's where the only light was at night. They'd shut off all the lights except the bathrooms, and they would teach them there, and they got their degrees. Pretty amazing how people were determined to rise above their situations.
Visiting Robben Island was probably one of my other favorite parts of the trip. You can read about things in a history book, but when you actually step foot into the places where those things happen, I don't think that you really get all of the emotion behind it. And it's an island, and it's a prison where you still feel that old haunting and that sense of struggle that happened there, that took place there. But beyond that, you also can feel the hope in the air. I think that all of that is just stirring in the air, and again, it makes what was going on come alive for you, and you really see.
I got to experience a place called Fikalela, an HIV/AIDS orphanage.